Hello, this is Chef Michael from Part-Time Permies, and today we're doing a collaboration with Frugal Family Food. This is a ongoing collaboration started by Amanda from Fundamental Home and Tangi from Freedom Homestead. So Frugal Family Foods also has a very active discussion group on Facebook with over 100,000 members. So this month, the Frugal Family collaboration is on chicken. So we're going to be presenting a chicken coq au vin. Coq au vin is a cock or rooster or cockerel in wine, and that's as simple as it gets. So it's a stew or a braise of old chicken or tougher chicken that's very flavorful and hearty and wonderful, especially in the winter, but at any point in the year. For the ingredients, we start with the chicken. Yeah, so this is actually one of our roosters that's been around a little while. The nice thing about actually using an old chicken, which you'll have a hard time finding in a grocery store, is that they're tough, but the tough is good because when we braise them in liquid and we take time, 2, maybe 3 hours, depending on how old it is, all the connective tissues break down, and that's where you get that wonderful pot roasty, luscious, silky flavors, and you just have to wait for it to go from tough to tender. You can do this with a young chicken. It's going to cook much faster, 45 minutes or an hour, and it's going to taste good, but you're not going to have that unctuous richness that you're going to get from a true old chicken. So most common in this country stew or braise would be mushrooms, and I have selected some going out of date mushrooms that were nice and inexpensive, and believe it or not, I did that on purpose. It's trying to break down, it will develop more flavor. I have some basic onion, carrot, and celery, the classic French flavoring, or what's called mirepoix, just regular old stuff, so we'll get that cut up. That'll be used with flavoring. We've got some half a piece of garlic that's been laying around. Found some discounted pearl onions, which I will be blanching and cleaning up. It's traditional to put some form of onion or pearl onion as garnish, along with the mushrooms. So this is a poultry blend that's mostly thyme, a little bit of rosemary and sage. So I have a basic poultry blend of fresh herbs. You can definitely use dry herbs, that's just fine. Might finish with some garlic chive. Got some old bay leaves been sitting around for too long. We're finishing those up. And then, of course, salt, pepper, red wine, $5, $4 bottle, whatever the cheapest, decent looking red wine. The cooking wine has salt in it, it's worthless. Buy a real bottle of wine, but buy that $3, $4 stuff. We're going to use just a California Merlot. I'm going to use a little olive oil to sear the meat, chicken. Happen to get some super good Italian olive oil. It was discount from a sale going out at the local grocery store. It was $2.99, which should be like $10.99. So we're going to put a little bit of that in there because it really didn't break the budget. And I'm going to add a little red wine vinegar just to bring some of that country flair. This is a homemade red wine vinegar from one of my chef friends. And we're going to use a little chicken stock for moisture. This is actually made with chicken feet. This is from our chickens, and it's just a simmer down of chicken feet and a little bit of vegetable. So talking about our ingredients, one other major item we want to include in here, it's optional, you don't have to use it, but some form of pork product. Typically it's bacon, slab bacon, like or pancetta. It's just whatever you have available is fine. You can use pieces of bacon, but if you have the nice slab, thick country bacon, you can get it to render down and get wonderful flavors out of it. So that kind of makes up the primary items. I guess I have some butter here too. We're gonna end up cooking in butter and olive oil because that's the traditional classic way to do it. First up, I'm just gonna clean up our mirepoix again. That is generally 50% onion, 25% carrot, 25% celery. We're gonna brown that. We get really big flavors by the browning of vegetables. Just put a little bit of garlic in here, about 2 or 3 cloves. All right, so for the pancetta, we're gonna cut big chunks. They're called lardons, which should be like half fat and half meat. We're gonna render out the fat. We're gonna actually save the fat. We don't wanna throw that out. Use it to sear the chicken. So if you choose not to have the pork in there, that's fine. I'm gonna get the pan on fairly hot. We're gonna do a combination of melted butter and olive oil. By mixing the two, you get 2 different great flavors, plus you prevent the butter from burning. Neutral oil, blend oil, I use Mediterranean blend oils a lot. All just fine. You want enough that you can get the vegetables fairly well coated in fat. So I've got about about half a stick of butter, which is about 1/8 of a pound, 2 ounces. And I've got an ounce or so of olive oil in there. Pork lardons, we're going to let them cook down about halfway. So they begin to fry out a little bit, render down so some of the fat comes out of them. Other thing you could do if you don't have pancetta bacon, something available, save bacon fat. Just sear your chicken and your vegetables in that, and that'll get you most of the way there. I don't want to burn these. In fact, I only want to, instead, half cook them. This is that cut up vegetable, onion, carrot, celery, a little touch of garlic, 3 cloves of garlic. I'm going to take some of these bay leaves, fresh ground pepper, tablespoon or so, season to taste. So I'm getting some little brown bits on here. Brown bits are good. Big flavor comes from brown bits. What you want to know though is burned is bitter, brown bits is great. I'm going to take this off the heat. Getting some nice flavors out of here. So the goal is to keep in enough fat that I can cook that chicken. This chicken was harvested about a week ago. So we use our excess chickens as they get a little older, or the boys that aren't egg layers. And we just food saver them or Ziploc them up and usually freeze them. Using whole chickens with bones and connective tissue will give you the most flavor, and it will way outpace any other chicken that's boneless, skinless pieces. So again, buying whole chickens, $6, $7 commodity chicken at the grocery store. Maybe a specialty chicken's a little more money, but use the whole thing. Develop all the flavor into the sauce, even if you're not eating the backbone or the wing tips. That's fine. Cleaning a chicken is fairly easy, although intimidating for a lot of people. We don't have any feet on here. The feet are actually in the stock already. So I just want to look at it. It's a little stiff. It's tough. This is not a little tougher than your average fry or your little 2-pounder. This is about 4.5 pounds, which is really big for what we get. Again, because we don't use meat breed. So I'm just going to take the skin off from the legs. That's going to allow me to separate out the legs and the thigh down here. And we usually disjoint the thigh and just pull back. It's definitely a lot tougher than it used to. Look at how dark red that meat is. That's gonna, it's not a red game, but it's almost like it. It's gonna have some flavors that will surprise you when you get these older chickens. That, if you have a local farmer, they might almost give them away to you, by the way. But you're gonna be surprised how meaty it is. It's meatier than you'd expect for poultry. Not strong, just meaty. It's almost like duck or maybe some turkey. So,
free range chicken right there.
Wings, we can probably eat the bottom segments, but we're gonna put them in there because, man, they got a lot of connective tissue. Your best stock and thickening of sauces comes from wings and from the legs, also the back. All right, what we're left with, breast. Things I do want to keep it on the bone so I can cut down into the back and take it apart in about 2 pieces. So it usually separates pretty easy like this. All right, at this point I can either split this or roast it. Cook it. So I'm just using a fairly big chef knife because again these bones are more developed. All right, so this is just removing the back so that it's easier to eat and present. It wouldn't have to be removed, honestly. All right, next piece of the neck's on there, and yeah, good stuff. All right, so now I've got 2 breast pieces. Open it up. Get it in a place where it's not going to roll on me. That goes through the wishbone. Split the keel bone, which is now gone from collagen to bone. All right. So you can ask your butcher to cut, you can cut this up if you want to have it cut. They'll cut bandsaws sometimes if you're doing a lot. Cut right through the bones. You can use boneless, it's fine. The chicken, I'm gonna lightly season it with salt and pepper. I have a little bit of just bread flour, all-purpose flour here. I'm gonna flour the chicken, which is a way to help thicken the sauce. That's the old style to do it. You don't have to flour it. The sauce will be a little thinner. You can use it thinner, or you can actually thicken it with a little cornstarch or whatever. But so I got some of this good sea salt. A lot of it's going to fall off, but it's big chunks, so we don't want to put too much on. Always season the item at the end. Sprinkle a little more black pepper on. Turn things over. Now I'm working one wet hand or one dirty chicken hand and one dry clean hand. Okay. Turn this back up to high. I want to get it all these little bits fairly smoking hot without burning anything in there. All right, I think we're pretty hot. So I'm just going to take my most important pieces, that are the meaty pieces, and make sure the skin side down and just sitting in there nicely. And I'll fit in all my other pieces. All right, so this is tight, but I definitely don't want to cut it any more than that. I've got a piece of back and some wing pieces. I may have to put them in, I may pull these out and then put those in for a moment before we bring it all together. All right, yep, not burned, but I got brown crispies. This skin is, it's just beautiful skin on here. It's firm, and what you'll notice if you get an air-dried bird, or you have your own chickens processed, do them yourself, or you send them out, the skin will be a lot firmer. I did turn my oven on. Oven set at 350. You have two options with this. You can cook stovetop, but you need to moderate your heat once we get all the liquid in there. Bring it down to just a bubble. If you bring it to a simmer, then you can also slip it in your oven, and your oven will bathe it in heat a little more gently. Less likely to burn, and it cooks more evenly. So we'll probably finish this in the oven, just because it's a little more reliable. But you can do it either way. Just using this pan as a holding device. We could throw the vegetables in after we sear the chicken. But then I wouldn't have the flavored oil, and it would be harder to brown the vegetables, even though I can't do it as a one pot. So that stuff's going to brown. I don't want to go too long on browning those other pieces because my fond, the little bits on the bottom are nice and dark, but they're going to start to burn. And like I said, burned brown bits will ruin the whole dish and make it bitter. So I've got a lot of nice browning already, and I'm just going to let it all sit down there for a minute. So we've developed our browning and our aromatics with our vegetable. The last major section of aromatic items is our herbs. I'm just going to tie them with a little string. You can put them in a tea ball sachet or a cloth if you wanted to. And that's just because I want to be able to remove this stuff pretty easily because it's tough to eat. All right, so this is a nice big poultry blend. Probably use half of this, but we got a lot of chicken there. We're going to use it all. It's a little sage. Be careful with sage. Sage gets really strong. Fresh sage is not. None of these are as strong as dry. More perfumey. The thyme, you can use a lot of thyme, and again, rosemary. Get some in there, but don't use too much. So it's nice and hot. We're going to put the wine in. I'm going to put about 3/4 of the bottle in. And what I wanted to do is cook for a little bit. I want to get the alcohol out, or most of the alcohol out. All right, we got a glass in there, I guess. So this is going to simmer. I'm smelling the wine. I'm smelling that raw wine flavor, which smells kind of nice, although it'll smell better when it cooks down. I like to let it reduce by almost half, which means I've got some of the extra water and some of that alcohol out. I'm going to put a little vinegar in, just because it's country style. I want to make sure it's hard. This is, again, homemade vinegar from a few years ago. I put in an ounce or two. I should put quite a bit in. Oh, by the way, if you don't want to use wine, cost, or just prefer not to cook with wine, that's fine. Grape juice works. It's different. Apple cider, grape juice, other, you know, just plain chicken stock. It's okay. It'll be a little different, but other juices work nicely. All right, so what I want this to do is come not all the way over the top because I want the juices to reduce down. And I can add more liquid, but a braise is typically about 1/2 to 3/4 covering, and so you need the liquid because the liquid helps bathe and break down the connective tissue and keep it all tender. I got a nice simmer going. Make sure the herbs are in there. Basically, if things aren't covered in liquid, and we can adjust them a little bit, if they're not covered in liquid, you're not getting the flavor in there. That's why I want the herbs submerged. Handles aren't very hot yet, but they will be. All right. So I don't think I want to even look at this for 1.5 hours. Again, if it was a young chicken, let's check it at 45 minutes. It's probably going to be done between 45 minutes and 1 hour. This one, I think we're going to be done between 2 and 3 hours. So we're just going to leave it alone, and we'll probably check the pieces at that point. The pearl onions. Depends on what I'm doing, but this is kind of cheap. About 30 seconds in some boiling water. Shock items, vegetables, blanch them usually about the amount of time that's in the water. Is about in the hot water is about the time you want in the cold water to cool it back down. These should pretty much slip off at this point with that little blanch. Oh, there we go. Just slide right out. So I'm looking for any heavy, weird molds. I got a black stem here. That's a little much. Might work for onion or for mushroom soup, but what I'm going to do is just quarter these up. Pull some of these stems. So mushrooms really suffer from being steamed, and so we'll show you how to sear them up nice, and that makes a big difference in presentation and flavor. I'm putting in, I don't know, a couple tablespoons, might be approaching 1 ounce in there. Okay, so this is what I call light to medium smoking pan. I'd say that's about as much as I can get in that pan, might be pushing it. If I have opportunities to get some of the cut sides in a down pattern, so that they're searing, that's wonderful. And once I get it there, I want to leave it alone. All right, so now these are starting to break down. I give it a quick little saute, flip. Might be a place to, this point, start to season just a little bit. Let the waters come out. Salt, fresh ground pepper. Not too much. Fresh ground pepper is twice as strong as that store-bought stuff, but it has real flavor, so just use half as much and it's better. Alright, so these onions could just be steamed or cooked in the sauce. You want to develop a little more flavor like everything else, you can brown them lightly, they're not going to be fully cooked. I'm just going to throw the mushrooms, get a little wine reduction in there to finish, and the onions are just going to hold them towards the end. All right, so we're approaching 2 hours. I'm just gonna take a look at where we're at here. Chicken softening, but a little more tenderizing. Probably pull this herb sachet out. It's been put the mushrooms and onions in. That's good. I think I'm going to let it go about a half hour more. I'm going to leave the lid off, let it reduce a little further, maybe brown a little bit, takes a little more of the moisture out. It's looking good. All right, so we're at, is this 2 hours or 2.5? 2.5 hours. So garlic chives are similar to regular chives. They're a little bit stronger and they're flat. This is now tender, it's starting to come off the bone. That's a piece of breast, it's thigh. See the skin's hanging on there, it's nice. There we go. Good. Pearl onions, the mushrooms in there, they're cooked.
A nice sauce. It's pretty much come together. I haven't thickened it or done it.
So we have our finished, very traditional coq au vin. One note on this, it tastes better probably 2 or 3 days out. So the best thing to do is actually let it cool down in a container and then bring it out and warm it back up while the flavors come together. While it's good today, it'll be even better in a few days. So I'm Chef Michael from Part-Time Permies, and this is our collaboration for Frugal Family Food during Chicken Month. Next week, the former Mrs. Jones will be preparing another chicken item, so check that out. Go see the Facebook page for Frugal Family Food. Come see us at Part-Time Permies and send us your comments. Tell us what you did different, what you like. It's really something you can make your own and use your garden, use your local products.